Welcome to the first episode on the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Dalalim, and I'm here with
Samuel Ofori.
In the course of our episodes, we intend to educate, informate, and also entertain you on the various aspects in the creative industry in our country, motherland, Ghana. First, we want to understand what the creative industry is all about, talk about the in-depths and the outside, the glamour, the behind the scenes. We just want to dive and then know what actually happens inside. The name Inside Out podcast was developed by your host and your co-host, Samuel Odami. As to inside and outside, we want to see inside what goes on behind the scenes, what goes on at the back room, the workroom, or behind what you see on your cover pages, what you see on your television, what you hear on your radio, what you are hearing currently on this podcast. We want how that was formulated and how that was made and how we structured how those things are structured and the importance of those things. Then we also want to see the outside talks about the glamour, talks about the presentation of the creative industry, how the creative industry is actually brought out.
Okay, so according to Google, creativity is defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, and possibilities that may be useful in solving problems and communicating with others and entertaining ourselves. So creativity has to do with recognizing ideas, coming up with innovative ideas that would solve issues. The world is full of issues now, and day in, day out, the world is dynamic, and day in, day out, lots of issues are introduced into the system, and we need new ways of solving these issues. So creativity, that's where creativity comes in. It has to do with that, with the mind coming up with creative ideas, and it doesn't only solve issues, but it helps us entertain ourselves and others. So when we talk about creativity, that's what it is.
That's very, very true. And it's actually good to also note that as you are as an individual, you can actually be creative in everything that you are doing. You can actually be creative about what you are actually doing. A creative is a person that actually creates something. So if you can, in your own mindset, and then come up with something, it is actually you being a creative.
Yes, that's a very interesting one. So now we'll go into the importance of creativity. What are some of the relevance of creativity when we talk about creativity, solving issues, making everyone happy, entertaining people, and actually mitigating the issues you're facing? What are some of the importance of it? So first of all, creativity allows us to view and solve problems more openly with innovation, and it opens our mind. So once you introduce something new, people get to appreciate it when the new thing is actually solving an issue. So it allows us to view and solve problems.
You know that when you're alone and then you want to do something, there's nothing you want to actually do currently that has not been done by someone. If you should know that. So finding how to present something to the general masses depends on creativity. Depends on how creative you are to develop something. So for people to actually accept something, depends on how you actually present it to them, and that involves being very creative, spontaneous, and other effects. But creativity is a very essential key in selling the current age and market.
And one thing I want you out there to also know is, as we spoke about innovation, sometimes the thing could be already in existence. As you said, everything we do might have been done by somebody else, but sometimes it's obvious that this thing you are doing is actually in existence. But the creativity comes in when you find another way to present the same thing which already existing.
And then make it your own.
Exactly.
And buy it and make it something that is your own. Also, creativity makes you to unveil hidden potentials that you have, things that you don't know. If you want to see what you have inside your backpack, you have to actually be very critical, go in depth, think, and actually.
Yeah. So creativity unveils hidden potentials. it makes you know who you actually are, what's actually in you. There are many things you can do. So once you come up with a creative idea and you continue with it, you find out lots of ideas will come out of it, and even the one thing you've brought out, it has a lot of potentials in there. So aside that, creativity also makes us make sense of our world. You get it?
Yeah, and it's actually good to know that creativity, there's no limitation to what you can do. You are not limited to what you can think. You are not limited to what you can actually do. So when you actually imbibe your creative aspect, you can actually explore more and then develop more things.
And also through creativity, we are able to touch the universe, and the universe as once you engage your mind, human beings are made up in a way that they are able to think and bring into being something that doesn't exist. You get it? So through creativity, you are able to touch the universe. You're able to think about something and come up with an idea that it makes you understand the universe more, the makeup of our universe. So creativity helps you to touch the universe. So now let's move on to who creatives are. Daniel, can you take us through that?
Okay, looking at who creatives are, we are all creatives. That's good to understand. Once you start creating, a creator is a creative. Everyone is a creative, but we are looking in the context of as a form of livelihood. So creatives are those people that actually create, though, but there are people that we regard them as creatives. You can actually have musicians, artists. You can actually have painters, and a host of many others.
Yes, as you said, one thing also is creatives as people, or is someone who sees the world a little different than others see, and they are marked with the responsibility and power to create. So the way everyone is looking or having a view about something, creatives are people who think outside the box. So they think beyond what they see. So a creative person would see a rubber, a sachet, and would begin to think through, what can this sachet be used for? People regard sachet as rubbish. Yes, so a creative would see sachet and would see beyond what people actually regard that to be. People would see a sachet rubber as something that should be disposed, but a creative person would see the sachet and would be thinking about what the sachet rubber could be used for. So creatives are people who think outside the box. They always engage their mind to actually solve issues we are facing in our society.
It's actually good to actually cite an example that currently the plastic rubbers that we see now, they are now turned and used as bricks that are used in constructing houses. Yeah, so once if you can see past what other people see and then see how you can make use of that thing. Rubbish is, the plastic bottles are not seen as something that is important to the society anymore, but someone has seen past that plastic bottle as being rubbish and seen that he can actually create something with those things. He can actually see sculptures that are actually made from used metal works and legs. There are so many people that actually use that as a source of livelihood, that they use those abandoned materials to create something that is new. So when you are actually with the ability to create something, you're actually a creative. So now we are going into the creative industry in Ghana, where we have various people in various aspects, such as the music industry. We have the art and crafts. We have people that are actually painting associations and likes.
So Daniel, let me ask, how do you see the creative industry in Ghana in terms of, for personally, I think the creative industry in Ghana now, we've given more recognition to people in the music industries. Fashion is top notch now. Yes, fashion, music industry, but we've forgotten about, we do not allow people who are into this craft to really come out. That's what I see. What do you think about that? Because I didn't know people actually build houses with, is it plastic?
Yeah, with what you are saying right there, you can actually see that with those craftsmanship and the likes, that is actually where our cultures and traditions are actually imbibed in. If you look at all the things that they create with the etching craft symbols and all those cultural things, you can see that people create stools and all those craftsmen they create imbibe our culture. So our culture is pretty much preserved through those craft things. So we not paying attention to them is like us not paying attention to what we own, our culture, our tradition. And people actually notice that for us, and that is actually wrong. That is why we are actually organizing this podcast to actually pay attention to those aspects. So when you see that people are coming to the motherland, Ghana is the motherland, every December, to appreciate what we have, we should actually also appreciate what we also have.
That's very true. But in terms of media works and all that, how do you see the creative industry now in Ghana? What's happening? What's on the trend?
We can see that currently with the invert of new media, there's basically no limits to what you can actually do as a creative. There is no borderline as to this is where my work can reach. These are the only people that are actually going to recognize what I am doing. Someone can be in Jamaica and actually recognize you as someone that he sees to be very, very, very innovative, and someone that he actually looks. Taking what you do very, very seriously is most important actually. Then with this age and time, imagine media, with the invent of the new media, we are actually able to do more than we were not able to. We can actually transport and export what we have as creative to other people. As this podcast is, you can listen to it anywhere in the world, so there's no limit to who can actually purchase or who can actually consume what you produce. So at this age in time, I don't think anyone should be complaining that you don't have exposure, because the exposure is there for you to take advantage of.
Okay, that's fine. But let's compare this age to that of before. How has creativity moved from one level to the other?
You should tell us that. I want to actually know where you see that from.
Okay, so I think now, as you mentioned, the advent of social media, the advent of new media has made it easy. Do you get it? So now you can sit at the comfort of your home, be in your room, and just record a song, create a YouTube channel, put it out there. If people fall in love with what you are presenting, then it goes. Do you get it? So these days, we have lots of platforms. Unlike before, you would have to. There wasn't much of media exposure. You get it? So before you can even get access to the radio, you should have been known, or you should have been knowing someone who would then connect you. But now everyone has a phone. You can just
listen to like the stories of people that started up like their music career. You see that they had to go from jumping from one radio station to the other, begging, pleading with people. But at these moments in age, someone from someone's backyard can become a superstar. So
yeah,
at least this time and age is actually very, very advantageous to us.
Yes.
So
yeah, new media has come as a rescue to all the wahala we've been facing. So this podcast is actually going to give you more insight in the creative industry. We're going to talk to you about the issues creatives are facing. Yes, as Daniel said, people always see the outward, they see the glamour, but do not really know what actually goes inside. The glamour you see, you don't know the foundations the person might have built before getting there. This podcast is actually going to tackle all that. We're going to talk about the issues they face, the beautiful side of it, the sad side, the bad side of it, and everything. This podcast encompasses everything. So we want you to stay tuned. Daniel, do you have something to say?
I just want you to stay tuned and get informated and educated on things you might have not heard.
Yeah, Daniel, do you want me to give them a gist of what we're going to give them?
Or just stay tuned and expect more, because the creative industry is going to be opened out in this podcast. We are going in depth. We are going inside. Thank you very much, and make sure you subscribe, and follow us. Comment on all our socials. See you next week. God bless you.
My name is Samuel Ofuriodami.
And I'm Daniel Delalim.
Until next time, it's bye now.